Do you think life is simpler as time evolves? For some, it can be more complicated when facing issues about health, estate plans, probate, long-term care, and more. That's why Attorney-CPA Joe Cordell hosts ElderTalk with TuckerAllen, providing intelligent answers for those thinking about their future. Here's Attorney-CPA Joe Cordell.
Welcome to another episode of ElderTalk. As we approach the holidays, we are willing to jump to the conclusion that our audience of seniors, like everyone else, will probably eat a lot. And I'm willing to bet that seniors especially will be inclined to set some sort of fitness goals as we go into the next year. So what better time to get a rolling start, a running start, by deciding on a fitness plan for next year and starting it now, or maybe even starting it in December. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to incorporate the dieting components, but just imagine if you could roll into New Year's already with momentum, having decided on a plan for fitness, decided where you're going to go to do it, if you're going to go outside your home, which we'll talk in a few minutes about that. Imagine how that would increase the probability that in all of 2022, you'll actually be on a program. The idea of getting a running start. I'm willing to bet that none of you have ever done that because very few people think about it. They think, oh, that's supposed to start on January 2nd. And is there any day when you feel less like doing something like exercise or dieting or those sorts of things on the day that you're probably still recovering from the excesses?
Exactly. And also the folks that already are involved in a workout routine. What happens? The holidays come, you get busy, you fall off the workout wagon. And, that's a time where you especially want to stay fit because what are you going to do? You're going to indulge over the holidays.
Yeah, that's a good point, is that this is not just for people who don't exercise at all. We know that the holidays are very disruptive, and we're suggesting a strategy that will increase the probability of your getting back on track or starting to begin for the first time, perhaps, a fitness program. So who better than an authority in senior fitness? So with that, do you want to introduce our guest?
I would love to. We're so happy to have you here. It's Jennifer Coverdale. She's a fitness expert with the Chesterfield YMCA. Jennifer, welcome to the ElderTalk show.
Thank you.
So, Jennifer, tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into fitness?
Well, that goes pretty far back. I've always been active and enjoyed sports as a younger person. Back in the mid-90s, I started getting a little bit more involved. I started teaching group fitness courses and started personal training in the 90s. I took a long break as I had my family and came back to it in 2019 is when I started working for the Chesterfield YMCA. So I'm a certified personal trainer. I'm a functional specialist trainer as well, which is really important for senior adults to be trained in a functional way so you can perform those activities of daily life more efficiently. I'm also a run coach. I have a run club here at the YMCA, and I teach spin classes, which is actually a really great place for seniors to have some fun.
Do you find it more challenging working with seniors than other adults or vice versa?
Well, seniors typically come with a few more issues, maybe some chronic injuries or some acute injuries. So we work around arthritis and different medical conditions. I wouldn't say they're more challenging. Everybody has something that makes it challenging, whether it be motivational aspects, but seniors do tend to come with a little bit more on their plate as far as injuries. But that is definitely something we can work around.
So, with seniors, they have their own special set of circumstances as a group, just like any other demographic group, I imagine. So I think you called attention to one of them, and that's when you mentioned functionality. So it's not just a matter of, a lot of people think, oh, I need to be strong, or, oh, I need to have good cardiovascular fitness. I think for seniors, the big deal is, I need to be able to actually have practical things that I can do. This has to produce something that makes my day more effective.
Correct.
Or more enjoyable. So tell me let's imagine that you're meeting with somebody who is a senior, and you can throw in what are the various circumstances you might have involved with that person. But they've come to you and they've said to you, gee, I know I've not been being as fitness conscious as I should have been. And, it's been maybe even a number of years since I worked out well, but I'm looking to 2022. I know it's important for me to get on track, and so I'm wanting to get a run at it. So tell me the kind of conversation you would have with that senior.
Well, first of all, I like to ask about fitness history, because that's very important to know what types of things they've done in the past, what has worked and what has not. Also, what types of things do you enjoy? If you don't enjoy lifting weights, that's important to know. So we can make things fun. Usually, if you can join into a class, if you don't particularly enjoy weight training, getting involved with it in a class with other participants and friends is a great way to get involved. So we'll just talk about the exercise history, and we'll also talk about health history, what types of things, injuries, maybe a rotator cuff injury, which might mean doing overhead movements will be contraindicated. So it's just talking about health history, enjoyment, and the personal goals of that person, whether it be weight loss, gaining strength, working on balance. These are all important aspects.
So would you draw up an individualized plan for that person based upon maybe previous injuries or health limitations, a sort of a workout schedule with a list of specific exercises that they're to do?
Yes. So here at the Chesterfield Y, one of the ways most people will start is with an intro pack. They'll come in for 3 sessions. And within those 3 sessions, we try to get them started on a comprehensive plan. It's kind of tough within just 3 sessions because session number 1 is going to be some assessment, seeing how the client moves, their functionality. We do some biometric screening to see what the body fat index is and about how much they need to lose in body fat versus lean body mass. So that first session, we go over some core work, some basic movement patterns, and then in session number 2 and 3, we kind of get it all worked out to where they can go out on their own after that. Typically, after an intro pack, people will want to continue meeting with the trainer, and then it's just individual. Everybody is just a little bit different.
So they might meet with a trainer anywhere from, they could do that every session, which I can tell you that's something I do, is I use a trainer. But that costs a little bit of money, and some people cannot afford that. Is it beneficial then for them to simply meet with somebody, once every 1 month or 2 months? What do you think is the essential circle back period for you to touch base with that person?
Usually if someone does the intro pack, and maybe I have a couple of clients that come once a week after that intro pack just to stay on track. I don't typically have someone that comes just once a month. We get pretty booked up and it's hard to work in something like that. I do have some once a week people, but for someone who needs just a little bit more structure, the classes that we offer here at the YMCA are fabulous too. We have the silver sneakers classes, senior fitness classes. We have arthritis, aquatics classes, and those are all free with the membership. And a lot of the seniors do receive that free membership through Renew Active or Silver Sneakers.
Jennifer, I'm curious. I would imagine that seniors are going to be more motivated than younger adults because as we get older, our balance declines. We need strength training to avoid falls because, a fall can be life-changing.
Yes. So as we get older, unfortunately, that is true. After the age of 25, every decade, we lose 3 to 5% of our muscle mass. So if you're not keeping up on an exercise program, those muscles really do start to decline.
Is that inevitable? I've heard that statistic before, but to encourage our viewers, if somebody is really, though, very proactive, they follow the program you describe, they don't have to lose that muscle mass, do they?
Well, as our hormones change, our testosterone levels drop just a little bit. So inevitably, you are going to lose a little bit of power. You can maintain most, and you can increase from where you are, But you are, as you get older, you are going to lose some muscle mass. It doesn't have to be as substantial if you're maintaining an exercise program.
But if you lose a lot, can you regain it? I mean,
you can. Yes, you can.
Okay, so it's reversible.
Yeah, come on in, get started, and it actually muscle memory. You have muscle memory. So when you first begin an exercise, a strength training program in particular, the first strength gains that you're getting are more on the neuromuscular side. Those neurons are waking up, and you can see some significant strength gains right away. Then after 3 or 4 weeks, then we start seeing muscle fibers increase.
So you mentioned about this starter pack or these first 3 sessions. There's a charge for that, or does it come with membership?
Yes, so it's at a reduced cost, but there is a charge for that intro pack. But it is a great way. It's not for 3 sessions here at our YMCA, it's $99. So it's a great way to kind of get in, see if you're going to like it, and to get started on a program. We also do have a free session with a fitness professional, not necessarily a personal trainer, to kind of talk about goals and to get you started in the right direction too, and that is for free.
So do you find, as you look at people who come in the door and who stick with it versus those who come in the door and soon you're not seeing them anymore, or you're seeing them, occasionally in spurts, what is it that you think separates the people who come regularly? What are the strategies or the habits that tend to pay off best if people want to be able to consistently stay in shape? Is it being involved, for example, in a group versus doing it on your own?
So I think for a lot of people, especially for our older adults, the conversations and the community aspect of fitness is very important. So I would encourage them to get involved in a group fitness class. That does help retain participants because you have friends that are waiting for you to come. So that's a great way to kind of keep the motivation up.
And keep you accountable to your own program. It really does. When you have a workout buddy.
Yes, and for myself in particular, in my spin classes, I have a roster of people that are coming, and I know everybody in the class, and if I don't see somebody for a month or so, I will typically give them a phone call and see, where have you been? So here's instructors and personal trainers. We are watching out for the people that we've kind of tried to foster relationships here at the YMCA, and we try to get them really moving in the right direction. And I think retention is also helpful. Here at the YMCA, we try to encourage participants to make SMART goals, and that is an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So we want to make those goals. If you have just a general goal of, I want to lose my belly, you kind of start to lose sight of that, and it kind of starts to get tedious. And if you're not making something that's measurable, perhaps I want to be able to walk a 5K in December. Those are very specific and measurable goals. Those are things that we can work towards and achieve. So we do try to get people to make SMART goals.
How many of your clients do you think fall off the workout wagon during the holiday season?
100%.
Personally, for me,
100%.
Personally, for me, my clients are all going to keep coming through the holiday season.
Well, that's good.
We need to be realistic. We're going to enjoy the holiday. We're going to enjoy our treats. And we just need to make sure that we're staying active. For seniors, don't focus on that scale, what that scale is telling you. Stay off the darn thing. How do your clothes feel? If you indulge too much, how do you feel the next day? Try to make it more intrinsic, like how do I feel? And those goals will be more achievable if you're focusing inward and not necessarily outward.
Right, because let's be honest. The holidays, we're going to eat pie. We're going to eat chocolate chip cookies, mashed potatoes, whatever.
So does it make sense then in that case to kind of give yourself permission to do that rather than find that you've in fact, the alternative is you violated your own diet unless your diet permits that?
It's the holidays, and I say life is about balance. Do not deny yourself the things that you enjoy. You just need to, in moderation, enjoy those things. And hopefully, by this time, we've already started an exercise program and you're enjoying your exercise program. So what you need to focus in on the holidays is staying active and go ahead and enjoy that piece of pie. And in fact, I would say go ahead and have that piece of pie before the meal. That way, you know you're going to eat it. You know you're going to eat it. So if you save it for after the meal, you're already stuffed and you're going to eat it. Maybe if you have it at the beginning of the meal and just be wild and crazy, and then you might stop eating when you're full with your dinner. So just the simple things like that. Get rid of your leftovers, give them away. Don't have so much stuff around the house after the holiday. And it could help you stay on track just a little bit better.
So as a trainer or health advisor to a senior, you focus on diet, or at least you deal with diet as well as their physical activity. Is that true?
So we do have nutritionists here on staff as well. As personal trainers, we can give generalized nutritional advice, and we can help motivate. It's a little bit outside of our scope of practice to prescribe a specific diet. We can talk about, a great diet would be something similar to the Mediterranean diet, or if high blood pressure is an issue, the DASH diet. So we can kind of talk about macronutrients, but we can't specifically say, eat this for breakfast, eat this for lunch. But we do have nutritionists on staff for that as well.
So do commonly your clients then work both with you and a nutritionist, or are they typically more concerned about their physical workout and they don't use a nutritionist there at the facility?
So my clients don't use a nutritionist, no. I have had one client that did a few sessions with a nutritionist just to kind of hit the ground running. But it is something we can talk about, and we can help keep them on track, keep food diaries. But mostly my clients are coming just for the fitness aspect.
So if a senior person is working with you as their trainer, will you more likely use fewer free weights, more of the machines perhaps, than you would weights that are kind of freehand weights, I guess?
So it's very specific to the individual, but honestly, I don't use the machines very often at all, unless there is an injury and that person needs to be stable in a machine. It's, in my opinion, and with most of my clients, much more important to train in a functional capacity. So my seniors will be doing some lunges as long as the knees are okay, and we'll be doing some elevated push-ups. We'll be doing things with the dumbbells, free weights. Yes. So we don't stray away from the free weights or the body weight exercises.
I'm delighted to hear that because I personally have held the view, without any support for it, but the opinion that machines where there's no lateral stresses, in other words, there's this channel that the machine moves your muscle. So because it's on that very specific track, it doesn't mimic reality. Because if you had that weight in reality, you have these lateral forces and you have to employ sets of muscles that you don't employ when you're pushing something along a track. So I've always felt that was artificial, and I always felt that exercises based on your body weight or on free weights, really mimic the real world, and what you apparently you believe that.
Yeah, and it depends on your goals. There's nothing wrong with using the selectorized equipment. Sometimes it is the best option, but I do agree that functional training, things that are going to help you perform your activities of daily life more efficiently, are more important, especially for a senior.
Jennifer, so often New Year's resolutions don't work because people tend to overwhelm themselves. I'm going to do this much by, this date and do, so many exercises a day, and they fall off that wagon. So having said that, what would you say to someone that is making the goal in the new year to getting in shape?
Well, if I was talking to them right now, I'd say, let's start now. Just exactly how you started out our interview. It's important. Go ahead and start now. You're going to have more success, and you're not going to be as far behind if you get started now than if you wait for the new year. But if it's someone that is dead set to make a New Year's resolution, I would say find a friend, go together. That will help with your accountability, and just make sure that you choose a fitness program that is fun, and set those goals, set small goals. Set a goal for 2 weeks, and then maybe set a goal for a month from then, instead of this yearly goal, I'm going to lose 20 pounds this year or 30 pounds. It's more achievable to set those small goals, and you're going to see some progress that way. And that's going to help you feel more motivated if you can see smaller, achievable goals happening.
Right.
So how often do you then suggest that people come in to work out? Can people achieve a good level of fitness and functionality coming in once a week, or should they plan on daily? What's your suggestion typically?
Well, that depends on what they're doing outside of the gym. So actually, the minimum recommended amount of cardiovascular exercise, that is any type of exercise where you're getting your heart rate up and you're keeping your heart rate up for a sustained amount of time, is 150 minutes per week. So that can be split up into 5 days of 30 minutes. And that's just for your cardiovascular exercise. That can be walking, so you don't necessarily have to come into the gym for those things. For weight-bearing resistance training, you should be doing that 2 to 3 days per week. Some of that can be done at home with body weight exercises. Some of that can be done in some of the classes or meeting in the weight room with a personal trainer. And you also need to be focusing on those flexibility exercises. So when you talk about fitness, it's not just lifting a dumbbell. It's all-encompassing. You need to make sure you're training your heart and lungs to be healthy and strong. And with that, you can avoid things like maybe you can lower your blood pressure by keeping those heart and lungs strong. Diabetes can be improved upon by keeping those heart and lungs strong. And then you've got to do that weight-bearing exercise, which is especially important for us ladies as we get older because of our bone health. We need to make sure that we're doing weight-bearing activity to keep those bones strong and healthy. So I would say once a week probably is not going to be enough. You're probably going to want to make it a little bit more regular. And I think once a week, if you miss one, then it's 2 weeks. So if you can write out yourself a schedule and get into the gym 4 days, maybe 5 days, and hopefully it's going to be something that you enjoy and you look forward to.
Right.
Is the YMCA open every day?
It is, yes.
Very good.
So weekends they can go, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
you mentioned bones. I know a number of people who are older and not very old, above 60, and have osteopenia. And that's something that, it's not osteoporosis for those who aren't familiar with this. I don't know much about it, except it's short of osteoporosis, and yet it means that you've had some bone loss. So you just mentioned that working out with weights can perhaps slow that process down or prevent it becoming osteoporosis. Is that true?
So not necessarily just weight training, but doing weight-bearing activities. So walking is weight-bearing. So that can be something that can improve upon the bones as well. Obviously, if you have something going on already, you want to talk to your doctor before you start an exercise program. And that goes for everybody.
Getting a bone density test.
Yeah. So, and we do need to be careful with those bones as they become fragile. We don't want to overstress them. But you do need to be doing some weight-bearing activity to keep those bones healthy. And that's something we should start when we're younger and continue on until through our whole lives.
So shall we have Jennifer demonstrate?
Oh, yes. Can you do that?
Okay. So I think here at the YMCA, there are 5 basic movement patterns that are important for everybody and especially seniors to participate.
Now, are these things they can do at home?
Everything I'm going to show you today can be done at home. There are some cheap, you can buy bands, and they're not very expensive at all, which can be helpful, but everything can be done with body weight as well.
Okay.
What you want to make sure you're doing is focusing in on all the movement patterns. You've got bending and lifting, which would be your squatting exercises, single leg movements, lunges, pushing, pulling, and rotational. So you want to make sure when you're developing an exercise program that you address all of those movement patterns. So we'll start with the first one, which is the bending and lifting, and that's basically just squats. So I'm going to come over to my chair. And it depends on the activity level and the strength of the person when they're starting. You can start with just standing up and sitting down in the chair. When you're in your chair, you want to make sure you're not leaning forward too much. You really want to focus in on using those legs. So from here, you're just going to stand up, and then you're going to sit down. Okay, you can do that 10 times, up and down.
Seems pretty simple.
Yeah, as you get stronger, you can hold a weight. As you stand up, you can lift, and as you sit down, okay? Then as you get stronger, you can go straight to squats. Let me scoot back just a little bit.
And tell us what muscles you're employing when you do that exercise.
This is the thigh, so you're really using those quadriceps. And if you're pushing with your heels, you're really engaging those hamstrings and glutes. So as you stand up, if you press through those heels, you're really going to feel that in the hamstrings and glutes. As you get stronger, you can do squats without the chair. So with the ball, you're just adding a little bit of the counterbalance, and you're also working those shoulders, okay? So that is the bend and lift. It's just a squat. For the single leg movements, like I said, my clients are doing lunges. You can have one hand on the chair for balance, 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, and you're just going to drop straight down and up. It's important on these lunges that when you're coming down, this front knee is staying directly over the ankle. Okay, so you don't want to come down with that knee breaking forward over the toe, because that puts a lot of strain on that knee joint. And it's just straight down and up. And you can see how this is a functional move, because you're going to squat down to pick something up. So you need these muscles. When you're on the floor, when you get up off the floor, you're coming up from one leg. So you're going to need to train these muscles to help you perform your activities of daily life. So it's a very functional move. For pushing, we can do elevated push-ups. This can be done against a wall. For our purposes, I'll show you against a chair. You can do this on a chair or a very sturdy table, and you're just going to do push-ups. Nice, strong in the core, and you're just coming down and up.
I like those types of push-ups better than the regular ones.
Well,
on the floor, yes.
What I think about when I see you doing that, as well as the squat or the chairlift, is that those are really huge muscle groups, right? I mean,
yes.
that's employing a bunch of muscles that play a huge role.
Yes, so these are compound exercises. They are using multiple muscles at once. That's correct. For pulling movements, you can use a band or a weight, and you're just going to pull the band out and you're going to pull back. And this is working the upper back muscles. And for seniors, you're going to work in the range of 12 to 15 repetitions, all right? We're going to do 2 to 3 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions. So you want to start to feel those muscles working, but you don't want it to be so difficult that you start losing that form. You want to be sitting up nice and tall, shoulders down, and pull straight back.
Now, this band, now they have that sort of thing in gyms across America,
yes.
Right?
And these can be ordered on Amazon. They're not, they're pretty inexpensive.
You can find everything on Amazon.
Amazon, yeah. Right now it might not be so easy to get anything from Amazon with the shipping issues. But,
Yeah.
For rotational movements, I'm going to go back to the ball. This is called a hay baler, and you're just going to come from low and bring it up high. So you can see this might mimic something you might do in your activities of daily life, like shoveling, or bending down and picking a child up off the floor, or putting something up on a higher shelf. So it's just important to incorporate all of these into your workout. For core strength, for people that are, for some seniors, it's a little bit difficult to get down and up off the floor, but you can work those core muscles seated as well. We can do a crunch sitting out on the edge of the chair. You just lean back, keeping the feet nice and flat to the floor, and lean forward. So you're working the anterior side as you lean back and the posterior side as you come forward and sit back up. This is a really good one for the abs and the low back.
Yeah, lots of discussion is made about core. And is that because the core is essential to everything else? Explain a little bit about the core.
So the core is very important because if you think about your skeletal frame, you have your rib cage here to kind of hold you steady. You have your hip joints and your hip bones that are very sturdy joints and bones as well. But right here, from here to your hips, the only bone that you have there is the spine. So here in your core area, this inner core unit, it needs to be strong to help keep your posture. All right, so we have several different muscles here at the core. They are layered from deep to the outer. And most people, when they think core, they're thinking this erectus abdominis, that six-pack. But in fact, it's much more important to focus in on the deeper muscles in that core. Your most deep abdominal muscle is called the transverse abdominis, and it runs around you like a belt. So when you're doing all things in life, it's important that you have that core strong to protect your spine, to protect your back. All right, so people that have a stronger core are less likely to suffer from lower back pain. So it's really important to be doing that core work to keep it strong to avoid that low back pain.
Jennifer, what I'm seeing from the exercises you demonstrated that even, say, someone who is obese, provided they're cleared by their doctor, could do a lot of these exercises.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
And you would suggest that people do these exercises once a day?
So for core work, body weight exercises, just specifically core, can be done daily. But typically, if it's a weight-bearing resistance training, you should only do it every other day. So if you're coming into the gym, meeting with a trainer, or coming in and doing a weight training class, it should be every other day. So you perhaps will do a class on Tuesday. You need to give your muscles time to repair and heal before you come back in and do the next workout. So basically, when you're doing weight training, you're making little micro tears. You're stressing the muscle. So you need to make sure the muscle has time to repair and heal before you do it again. So it should be every 48 hours.
And that's a good thing, though, that you kind of tear down your muscle, because that is what enables it to come back stronger.
Correct.
You mentioned something a while ago that I think that it's worth explaining a little bit. You said, so these are pull exercises, and now for your push exercise, or these were push and now for your pull. I know that when I was working out and I was being given an exercise program, I thought, well, gee, if I did an arm exercise, why do I need to do another? Or if I did a back exercise, why would I do another back? And the trainer at the time said, well, that was a push on your back, and this is a pull on your back. And it wasn't obvious to me until it was explained why that's so important. Do you want to talk about what's involved in push and pull with different muscles, or why it matters?
Well, so typically pushing muscles are going to be the chest, triceps, and shoulders, and your pulling muscles are the biceps and the back. So if you were doing more than one back exercise, it's because you have multiple muscles back there. So if you're pulling down from here, you're training the latissimus dorsi, and if you're pulling back this way, you're hitting the trapezius. If you're pulling up this way, you're hitting the rhomboid. So there are several different muscles, and it's important to train from different angles to make sure you're getting general strength gains. And if you train one muscle too much and you ignore another muscle, you might actually make an imbalance and can create an injury doing that.
Wow.
So yeah, the compound movements like that I was showing you are kind of, they're general and they're hitting that whole muscle area. But when you were talking about the selectorized machines, or for example, if you do bicep curls, maybe either with the dumbbell or on the selectorized machines, it's important that you are training the opposing muscle group as well. So if you do a bicep curl one week, you need to make sure you're doing a tricep extension as well. If you train one side of the body and not the other, you can create a muscle imbalance and cause yourself more problems. For example, if you do a lot of crunches, and I won't get on the floor and do a crunch, but if you get this muscle really strong and you never focus on the lower back, it's going to tighten these muscles, and these muscles are going to lengthen because they're getting weak. So you're going to walk around just a little bit like this, and I think you can see what kind of problem that might cause for you in the future if this muscle is too tight and this muscle is too weak. So it's important to train opposing muscle groups.
Okay, and then pushing and pulling involve different muscles, right?
Correct.
I didn't realize that.
So how do you stay up with this? Is this something that once you're certified as you are, do you circle back periodically for updates? Do you have CLEs? How do you stay current on all the information in this field?
It's ever changing. So with our certifications, we are required to take continuing education credits. Within the 2 years of our certification, we have to have so many continuing education credits.
And so it sounds to me like one of the themes of this discussion is that it probably is helpful to work out with others, and probably working out outside the home for those who can is probably a better idea than working out inside the home.
Right.
That's been my experience, but I think it's been the experience of most people I know who consistently work out. And as you pointed out, there's the friendships that you make when you're in classes, but even for those who don't get involved in a spinning class or something, there's a huge social dimension to just coming in and working out, because if you're on a schedule, you run into the same people coming in to work out. And when I was going to a gym, at one time I went very regularly, and I'd seen these people for years and years and years, the same people who consistently come. Now, meanwhile, we would see people who would come and go. Somebody'd come in, they'd be there for 6 weeks, often maybe during the first quarter of the year.
Right.
And then we don't see them anymore. But there is a big social component to that. And I think that we can't underestimate the importance of that.
We're very active with our seniors here. We have a bridge group that comes, mahjong. A lot of our seniors play racket sports. We have pickleball. They're coming to the classes. Our Silver Sneakers class has about 50 participants each Tuesday and Thursday. So we here at the Chesterfield Y, demographically, we do have a lot of seniors coming in. And it is important to come in not just for the exercise, but for the community. And it starts to turn into pleasurable experience when you're coming in and you're meeting your friends and you're seeing the people that you know that work here that know your name and are asking you how you're doing. So I agree that it's very important to get involved. You have to find something that you enjoy. That's how you can have longevity in exercise, I think, is you need to enjoy it.
Well, and we know that some folks, who lost a spouse, this may be the only companionship they have, during a day.
Mm-hmm. And you think of all the diseases that you're so much more vulnerable to if you fail to monitor your diet or exercise. And, how many people do we know that have type 2 diabetes?
Right.
I mean, it's just epidemic in the United States. And it's really, it's preventable, I'm told. Is that type 2 diabetes is a form of diabetes that is preventable by choosing to adopt the right lifestyle.
Healthy lifestyle, yes, for sure. And not only for your physical health, but for your mental health as well. Exercise has been proven to be beneficial for mental health.
Yeah, so cognition and whatnot too. And that's a huge issue. A lot of people don't think that their ability to think well, their memory, their other cognitive skills are affected by physical exercise. But it's amazing. Don't studies confirm that there's a relationship?
They do. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, people are happier.
Yeah. Yeah, for mood, it does enhance mood. Exercise does enhance mood. We have a really great program here, Parkinson's class. So for some seniors that have Parkinson's, we do spin. They get on the bikes, and then they do a weight training program. And that's a free program here at the YMCA as well.
Really? So I'm glad you thought to mention that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people I know that have Parkinson's.
I've got a very
it's
good
scary.
friend that I just contacted me today, and she was diagnosed in her 20s, actually.
20s?
Yes.
Well, but you have, apparently it's so common that you have a group that specifically trains together on spinning, did you say?
Yep. So they meet twice a week. They come in and spin for 30 minutes. And there is a lot of science behind how the spinning can help increase their body awareness and their function and movement. So they start there, and then they go to the weight training portion. So they do seated weight training exercises.
I've read about this. It was I don't remember the name of the study. It's very well documented that, as a matter of fact, it was so surprising that originally people questioned the study, but because there's so few things they can point to really slow down the Parkinson's. But something that had dramatic effect was a very intense exercise. You had to go up to like 150% of capacity or something, however you word that. So it had to be involve an intense, I guess that's the reason you're doing spinning. It had to be a very intense sort of exercise. And then, of course, I guess it included the weight bearing or some sort of resistance training. But it was really shocking, the amount of improvement, because it really offered better hope than any of the medications that they identified.
Right.
Now, there's some surgical procedures that apparently they're doing, some have had. But yeah, there was a powerful effect from that. And I guess that's what your program is based on.
Right. So I haven't read that particular study, and I'm not the Parkinson's expert, but there is a lot of science behind the exercise, and it just ties into lots of different disease can be managed or avoided by being physically active and having a healthy lifestyle. Obviously, there are some disease that can't be avoided. Parkinson's you're diagnosed with, but you can manage it maybe just a little bit better if you're being physically active.
Wow, a lot of information here. So if people want to follow up, they can go to any Y. They can even join a gym if they prefer. But here's the thing I like about the Y and the JCC is that they have a lot of different things. They have not only a lot of classes and programs, but they have a lot of facilities in addition to swimming pools and whatnot. I assume you have a pool as well.
Yes, and we have an arthritis class in our pool, and it's very popular, and it's a very great way to get started, especially for people with arthritis that have some pain in those joints. It's non-weight bearing, so it doesn't, the inflammation isn't quite as much, the pressure to those joints. And we do keep our pool just a little bit on the warmer side for those arthritic clients.
I like that.
Yeah. and I would say that that if you're a senior and you're wanting programs that are more designed specifically for you with more variety, I really think you should look first perhaps at the YMCA or the JCC. I'm sure there's some great gyms out there, but I've been a member of several gyms, and I've also worked with JCC as well as YMCA, and it's just more options.
Right.
Yeah, and with the YMCA here, the Gateway region, when you join one, you're joining them all. So you can go to not just the Chesterfield, but the Wildwood or the South City. Also, we do participate in nationwide. So if you leave for vacation, if you're in an area that has a YMCA there and they participate in nationwide, you can use that one as well.
Is that right? I didn't know that. That's
Very
good to know. Mm-hmm.
Very good. So you're a wealth of information, Jennifer. We thank you for taking the time to talk to us. We may want to circle back after the first of the year if you have time, and
Sure.
and maybe give a pep talk to people who may be losing a little bit of their focus at that stage.
Maybe me.
Well, anyway, you're wonderfully informative. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
So this has been another episode of Elder Talk. Till next time, take care.
You've been listening to Elder Talk with TuckerAllen, providing intelligent answers for those thinking about their future, with Attorney-CPA Joe Cordell. Sponsored by TuckerAllen, your estate and elder law advisors. For more information, visit TuckerAllen.com. Listen again next Saturday for another edition of Elder Talk with TuckerAllen. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.